Hey, long riders, welcome back to the here with the morning coffee. And I had to discuss, I've been waiting to do this video for a long time, and if you didn't see the name for the title, I'm going to go through a few things about this new urine nymphing. I'm going to discuss what's the difference between tight line urine nymphing and urine nymphing. I'm going to talk to you about when you should use urine nymphing. Should you use urine nymphing all the time? Should you fish that way all the time, or should you use it once in a while? I'm going to discuss all this in this video. So let's get started. Boom! I had to throw that little plug to Rubber Ducky Studios, where they do all your editing. So you just get a hold of them and they'll do your editing for you. Alright, anyhow. So let's start by saying I'm a fly fisherman. I got 44 years of fly fishing experience. And I know some people that's twice as long as you've been alive that are watching this probably. I was alive and fly fishing before the River Runs Through It was released. Once the river was run through it was released, then it was insane. Like before the movie was released, you hardly seen any fly fishermen out on the creek. You know, it was just bait fishermen. And there wasn't that many. The water wasn't as populated. I don't think fishing, period, was as popular when I was a kid as it's getting now, which is kind of crazy. Because people are saying, well, the sport's dying. I don't agree with you there. I mean, you got to go around here the first day of trout season, which looks like this. See all them cars? Yeah, so yeah, it's crazy the first day of trout season. So then fly fishing, the movie was released and it just blew up, man. Like the creeks blew up like crazy and fly fishing became a big thing. And when I got into fly fishing, I seen this on water. looks so artistic. You can, you know, it just looks so beautiful and graceful, and I loved it. But this is what you see all the time now. So if that's what it would have been look like when I started fly fishing, I want to fly fishing, because I would have said I'm already bait fishing. You guys, this I learned to do exactly what these Euronymphers are showing you to do with a bait rod, and really, secretly, honestly, the Euronymphing that you guys do now, or a lot of people do now, I've seen you particularly do, but the Euronymphing that they do now they didn't want to use fly line at all. If they had their way, and Euronymphing, the people that did it, that were doing it, they wouldn't use it. They wouldn't use any fly line. They would use all mono. You know, fly line is just in their lines. The fly line never comes out. So is it? My question to you now is it really fly fishing? That's another topic. You know, I don't know. Okay, two. I wouldn't have gotten into fly fishing if it was that way, because I like to fight. I like to barely get to the fish with my dry fly. I like the long fight that comes with it, and catching fish in a little creek that I can step across. You know, and I'll show you the water. This is the kind of water that is meant for fly fishing, or Euronymphing here.
She tracks the wind like it owes a cast. Unload the rifle, no need to ask. Deer freeze mid-step when we hit the trail. Couple so lethal, nature don't prevail. Coolers full of bourbon.
Ice will last.
Cast the line, reeling lightning fast.
Trout don't stand a chance when we roll through. We ain't guests out here, we own a view.
See, that's that fast, not so deep, moving water. Right? You know, so I'm not against Euronymphing. I'm just letting you know the facts about Euronymphing. So let's tackle a second debate of Euronymphing versus high stick nymphing. I'll show you the Euronymphing flies.
Sunrise on the ridge, scope lock tight. She spots the buck before I even sight. One shot, clean drop, no second try. While the mist rolls low and the hawks glide by. Got the cooler packed with ice and brew. Riding the holder line, cutting.
Now use a tactical hook like that. Where when we were high sticking, we were using basically when I learned to do it. I haven't only been, so I said I've been fly fishing for 44 years. I've only been using a strike indicator for 20 of them years. I always high stick. I never used a strike indicator. To a guy who was catching fish behind me, I'm like, how are you catching more fish? You know, he says, what are you using? We had exact same bead head pheasant tail on, and he was railing me. And he goes, here, and he threw me a strike indicator. What's this? He goes, it's a strike indicator. That's a bobber. He goes, well, don't say that around your fishing, fly fishing friend. So that video that you seen earlier, me Euronymphing. That was about 2 years ago, and that was the first time I tried Euronymphing. Tied to flies for a long time. I just dropped them off a strike indicator, because here we're going to show you, here's where we like to fish a lot.
Sunrise on the ridge, scope like tight. She spots the buck before I even sight. One shot clean, drop no second try. While the mist rolls low and the hawks glide by. Got the cooler packed with ice and brew. Riding the holder line, cutting through. Try jumping like they know we on the stream. We don't chase luck, we just live the dream. We hunt hard, fish slow, smoke loud, no stress. King and queen of the wild, we don't need no address. Got dirt on our boots and fire in our lungs. While y'all stuck in traffic, we got guns and buns. Campfire crackling, blunt passing right. Gear tags full, stars burning bright. She cleans the catch with a pocket knife. I pour 2 fingers, this is real life. No Wi-Fi out here, just bass and breeze. Pine scent mixing with OGEs. We don't post flexes, we just stack the proof. Tracks in the mud and a freezer full.
Okay, that hole there is really deep, and half the times when I'm fishing that, I'm out to my waist. Now, I have seen morons like this. Yeah. Can you believe that clip I took from the Orvis Fly Fishing channel? Ain't that something? That they're promoting morons to do that. Let me tell you, if you walk out in deep water in front of somebody that's fly fishing and they're on a... Here, let me add this clip. Alright, I edited that out the first time. See the flies in the air? Yeah? That means they were urinymphing, and the cameraman turned and took pictures of the dry flies in the air. Alright? They might not have been touching the water, granted, but ain't that something? So if they're rising, if they're popping off, most likely they're hitting wet flies underneath, right under the surface, as a hatching mayfly, or, but yeah. Anyhow, so if you wade out to the deep water like that, in front of the right fly fisherman who's on catching a rising trout or something, you're going to get in big trouble. So the difference between high sticking and urinymphing is urinymphing usually uses a heavy point fly, and it's kind of called a tight line, right? Where high sticking is not it is kind of high, the same thing, but not. So when I learned to high stick, I said 43 years ago, I tied for a whole year before I fly fished. You would have unweighted flies, and you would put weight, or you could do a bead head, depends, you know. You would look at unweighted or bead heads, and you would put weight on significant to where the fish were rising, and you weren't keeping the line tight necessarily. You were just kind of staying ahead of it, so you could see the strike, and you were just kind of keeping that leader on top of the surface. All right, and when that leader stopped or moved, you'd set the hook. Kind of like whereas urinymphing, you're going real heavy, staying real tight, and you're kind of almost pulling the fly along, and you're having a sighter and all that. We never use sighters on high sticking, and you could high stick far away. I've seen people try to urinymph, and I've never seen anybody land a fish doing this. One, wading out to their belly and then urinymphing. Never seen anybody caught a fish. I sit there and watch people do it. You know, the fish down below me. I've seen a lot of people urinymph and not catch anything, period, around me. We sit there and we caught. I remember one day we went out, and there was a guy upstream. We were fishing the lower bottom of the hole where the water was slow, and we were dry fly fishing. And we caught like 10 fish while he was up in the rapids, you know, doing this thing with his hand, you know, not one fish. And he was there when we got there, and we caught 10 fish and left, and he was still there. So So yeah, anyway, let me go back to that tight lining. Tight lining is putting enough weight to keep it in the strike zone. If you sink too fast, too deep, here, let me have Joe Humphreys explain it to you right here.
I'm going to put a crest bug on. I'm going to work these waters and see if I can find a trout that's willing to take one. I'm using a double taper fly line. My leader is a little over 9.5 foot. It's tapered from 17 thousandths down to 3x 8 thousandths. When you're fishing and I'm not using the suspension system, I'm rolling the bottom after them today. And so what happens is this. If your nymphs are going by you too fast, add weight. If you're hanging up every cast, delete. And when the waters you're fishing, let them be the guide relative to how much weight, because each area does change with depth and speed. And I know it can be a pain to constantly change, but the name of this game is flexibility.
Thank you, Joe. So, let me tell you a little bit about Joe Humphreys. Joe Humphreys, I met Joe Humphreys when I was probably, like I said, 42 years ago. I'll give it 42 years ago. I was in tying about 2 years, and our local Trout Unlimited had a meeting, and they have the big national fly fair or whatever, and I met him there. And he was teaching a class on, now, I think I could show you a video. Let me see if I can find a video. If I can find a video, I'll put it in here. So if you've seen that video, that's the creeks I usually fish. Really small. I got some exciting news about one of my local creeks. They're not stocking it anymore. But anyway. So I was really interested in learning how, and he taught me the bow cast. And I met him 5 years ago, I think. 5 or 6 years ago, I met Joe Humphreys. And he goes, everybody wants to ask me one question. And I said, Joe, how do you tell your cell bug? His one fly that catches a lot of fish on. And he told me how to catch it. And he goes, nobody's ever asked me that question. I was like, really? I said, I've watched your classes. I said, you've been teaching me. And I gave him a big hug. I said, oh, by the way, and I gave him a big hug. And I said, I always said if I met the guy, because I had no idea who he was. No idea. I just said, if I ever meet the guy that taught me when I was a little boy how to freaking fish small water and do the bow cast, I'm going to give him a big hug. And I said, here you are. And I gave him a big hug. And he thought, he's that funny. I said, do you remember that? He goes, yeah, I remember. He said, I might even remember meeting you. He said, do we meet later and you were in wrestling? Because he was a coach of wrestling, in college. He taught the fly tying class, and he was also a wrestling coach, and he's a big wrestler. I seen him. Seen a video. He was 70-some years old, and he was still wanting to wrestle. The one guy that doing an interview. It's funny, but yeah. So I go, yeah. I was in high school. You remember me? He says, yeah, I remember. I think I remember you being the wrestler and the fly fisherman. I said, yeah. And he goes, cool, and parted ways. But that was my mentor. Like he taught me all this stuff that, like, we didn't have YouTube and we didn't have much videos, And if there was a video, it was kind of Joe Humphreys himself, where I was getting it like one-on-one there, So that's pretty cool. But like Joe Humphreys said, if you sink too quick, you take weight off, and if you sink too slow, you add. Sink too fast, delete. And that's how we high sticked, and that's how I've never seen Joe in any of his videos ever use a strike indicator. He just does that high stick, and that's how he learned. And that's, but certain waters I couldn't do it. Like, and I see people trying to Nymph in these waters, and there's just some waters that you have to realize when the water's deep, you know, you're getting to 3 feet, 4 feet deep, it's moving slow. I mean, the less you stay out of the water, the better off you are, especially if you have wild fish. But man, you come to that pocket water that's low, there ain't nothing deadlier than Nymph in that. But Tracy, I don't know, man. She might have you guys beat. Tracy is a die-hard fly fisherman of dry dropper.
Yeah, he's interested to see what's going on. This one don't look as pretty. I think
All right.
So she'll tie a big old mayfly on there, and the big fish that I've seen come out of the water and slaughter her mayfly when she was dry dropper fishing in low white deer, all these creeks, she dry droppers them, and you don't know, man. You gotta have a battle there. Which one's more deadly, dry dropper or a Nymphing? And with that Nymphing, you only have the nymphs. You don't have a dry fly advantage. So if there's something on, just taking dry flies and not constantly, so you can see it, you might not catch that fish that Tracy might. So there's a lot to consider in. What about Nymphing? And there's many different ways of setting up flies, where you put point flies and then you put all these unweighted up this way, or you put them out as droppers, or you put them up to see you know, there's a drop shot, and that's where you put a weight, then your first fly, most all of them unweighted, which is really wild. Drop shotters, when they fish, have unweighted flies that are above. That's another way to find out where the fish are. I've used all the same unweighted fly. When that weight's bouncing across the bottom, it'll move them flies, or vibrations in the fly line, and move them flies. It's a really deadly way to fish. But before this, I was last time I was at the fly tying expo. I went one time. I'm not big on seeing a bunch of vendors. I mean, it's cool that you can maybe win a trip, but I'm in a country boy, and I had to go down to the city that got asked for by bums for money both times there and back, and I was like, I'm good. I should stay out of it. Now they say they moved it somewhere else, and I don't know. But anyway, I'm not into that city thing, and yeah, we weren't happy there. So it was cool to meet Joe, but the last time I was there, at that time, the big thing was not Nymphing, which is long enough. I mean, these trends go and come and go. You know, the whole shadow casting. You'd see people out after the Raver runs through trying to do this. I can do it. I've done it. Just going like this, keeping your line up, because I've been casting for so many years. I can manipulate the line. I don't even back cast it, barely. I just shoot the line, man. And people on the water like, man, I love watching you cast. That's the most amazing. But I've done it so long that it's like nothing. It's like you scratching your eye, or, you know, combing your hair. I naturally just go and do it. I don't even think about it. It's hard for me to train people how to cast because I don't even think about it. But just to see a bunch of people with their head up and not doing that beautiful thing in places they shouldn't. So I hope this reaches some of you guys, and you're in them where you should, don't where you shouldn't, and don't walk in front of a bunch of fly fishermen or other bait fishermen and go out there and start doing this in a deep hole. I know some of these bait fishermen around here take fishing pretty serious. You might just have a problem. I have a hard time. I wouldn't go in front of a bait fisherman and wade in the water. I'll make sure I'm a mile away. Because they just get too irate. That video where that guy's walking up to his belly in the water and Nymphing, that's for more of us. Okay, I'm going to explain one reason. I'll give you one reason in this video. Maybe I'll give you one reason. in all my videos, but there's one reason right there. And the second reason is the king of urine nymphing. I'm going to give you a little bit of inside information. Just a pro tip from a pro. From a pro to me to you. Okay? I was listening to Orvis. If you look back, way back in the archives, I was listening to Orvis, and let me think. Walt Young, right? If you don't know who Walt Young is, he is the king of urine nymphing. For one, he developed the Waltz's worm. Now, I know if you're urine nymphing at all, you know what a Waltz's worm is. He developed the Waltz's worm and the Waltz's sexy worm. He did them all. And he came on one of his podcasts, and he said, that his rod for competition fishing, I know I keep staring at the mic, I'm bad at that, I know, he said that that the best rod he has to urine nymph is the one I have right over here, that was handmade by a friend, and that was made way before I heard this interview. I call it the Penns Creek rod, because Penns Creek, to cast a long distance, people were up in their rod size. Now, there's another pro tip. Maybe I'll cover that. Refer to you have to wait till I come up with the video rod size. But anyhow, a lot of people were overweighting their rods, and I wanted to get little flies across the creek, a long creek, and I thought a longer rod would help me do that, and boy does it. Now I have a problem in the trees behind me, and I can almost cross all the way to Penns Creek. Anyway, I can cast with it. Anyway, it is a weight 4, 10.5 foot weight 4. And Walt Young said that that's one of the best rods he can use for competition fishing, because he can use it for dry fly fishing if the flies start hatching. He can use it for a urine nymphing rod, and that's how that fish you caught, that scene, and all that urine nymphing I was doing, that's with my weight 4. I also use it on Penns Creek for dry fly rod. I've caught monster fish on that rod, and it's a weight 4. I mean monster fish on that rod. You can see some of my old videos. Go back, check out some of the monsters we caught on that rod, and okay, so the whole thing of this video is, remember, urine nymph has its time and place, and so the streamers. And you're going to say, well, are you successful? Yes. So you can say, I'll catch more fish. That's true. You will catch probably more fish than a streamer fisherman, but the streamer fisherman's, by naturally, he's going to catch more or bigger fish. You might catch more, but that streamer fisherman's, they usually catch bigger fish. Only a couple fish, and the streamer fisherman can cover water. You'll still be at the same hole, walking across, covering 2 feet, walking across, covering 2 feet. And where the streamer fisherman will just, like a spinner fisherman, bait fisherman, down the creek, covering lots of water. He's going to catch a big fish. And that one big fish, he might take a lot prior than I would than catching 20 little ones all day on urine nymphing. I don't like it. I don't like fish in the net. Look at the fish I caught. Fish in the net. I don't like that. I like the whoa, and zzz, take a line out, and that's my thing. But each your own. So, but make sure you're not laying out into your belly and interrupting other people's fishing. Just to say, and I see everybody. I'm going to say I see everybody on fly fishing channels right now going this. They're casting 40 feet away, trying to be like they're urine nymphing, and I'm like, oh my god. Yeah, they catch fish. I'm not saying don't catch fish, but people fished ahead of me, and I came behind them doing that, and I've caught fish out of the hole like crazy. They didn't catch anything. It's because you got to know what you're doing. You got to practice a lot, and you got to know the water and when to do it, when not to do it. Hope it don't take me all day to make this video. Anyway, peace you guys, and have a good one. And remember, you're a nymph when you should, don't when you shouldn't, and you all have a good day. Peace. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Keep your lines wet, out of the trees, and only give them fish a sore lip.